Good day and welcome again to the J&E Welding Combined Strength live stream and podcast. I'm your host, Shane Sutcliffe, and I'm joined today by Shella Nowakowski and Graham Corsar, who's joining us remotely from the Williston Basin Petroleum Conference in beautiful Regina, Saskatchewan. We're going to have another shorter show today. We're going to be talking about some additional project updates from the shop and some of our mobile services division. We'll be going over safety a moment as we always do. And then Graham's going to give us a little bit of an update as to what's been going on at the conference he's at. And we have a pre-recorded interview that Graham will be part of as well. And finally, an employee update from Shellen. Before we begin, though, again, as always, we'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting today on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis, again, for where Shellen and I are geographically located today. And once more, as a just brief background on who J&E is, if you guys aren't aware, we are one of Saskatchewan's largest engineer-to-order fabricators, founded in the 1980s and serving primarily the mining and heavy industrial sectors. And with that, I would like to pass it over to Shellen to start with our safety moment. Shellen, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane. Well, as we move forward into summer or spring and summer here throughout the year, it has just been a tremendous time of growth for J&E, and we've been bringing on lots of new employees, and we'll touch on that a little bit later as well. But with that, we always like to review, of course, when we're bringing on new employees and regularly after that as well, just some of the safety reminders that we have here at J&E, as safety is certainly a cornerstone of what we do here. And so just to run through some of them here, so never tamper with, disengage, or remove safety devices, including guards or interlocks or safety placards. Always use the required PPE. Everyone at J&E is required to always have hard hats, steel-toe boots, and safety glasses and earplugs when on the shop floor. Follow J&E welding safe work practices and procedures at all times. Protect your own health and safety and the health and safety of fellow workers at all times. Refrain from causing or participating in the harassment of another worker. Report all incidents and or hazards immediately, and do not ever engage in horseplay. So those are just a few of our safety reminders that we like to keep at the front of mind for our workers and everybody that's in our shops, whether they're employees, contractors, or visitors. So there you go. There you have it.
That's great. Thanks, Shellen. All right. And yeah, so we've only really got one project rundown / update that we're going to give today, and I'll get Graham to just run the screen here for us. So we're currently engaged with our partners from Nutrien in doing a rather extensive project out at their Clavette distribution terminal. Basically, as a kind of a background on what this terminal does, they've got a large storage tank that was converted several years ago to store UAN, or urea ammonia nitrate. And the piping system, there's two piping systems. There's a system that's used to take the product from the rail cars and store it in the tank. And there's a second system that pulls from that tank to load the trucks that they use for their distribution. And the project that we're engaged in right now is the replacement of the line that offloads from the rail cars to the tank. And one thing that we wanted to highlight with this project, as it was kind of a unique instance for us and our partners at Cove Engineering, is that we did a 3D scan of the existing site in order to aid in the modeling of the replacement piping and making sure that the way we designed the spooling and had the flange connections located, we weren't going to have to worry about interferences with existing structures. And it actually turned out to be the largest scan that we or COVA have ever been involved with. So it was quite an undertaking, to say the least. For the people just listening in, you obviously can't see it, but for those that are watching our live stream here, these are just a couple of the views that our detailer Clayton Henderson provided for us here. Having a quick brief look at it here, you can kind of make out in the bottom corner there, or the bottom section there, those black kind of oval shaped things, those are the rail cars. Those are about 60 feet long, to put some scale to this image.
It really shows the scale, doesn't it?
It's
pretty incredible how big this point cloud is.
Absolutely. And talking with Nathan from COVA, I mean, Roberto and I went out there on a just lovely April morning to do this scan. It was the only day that week that had sub-zero temperatures and blowing snow. We did 53 scans on that site to generate this cloud point. And talking to Nathan from COVA again, there were so many points in those scans that they had to strip out a huge amount of detail just to make the model manageable enough to open in the computers that we have to work with these days.
But you know what's really cool about this is I did a project like this like 100 years ago at Edmonton Refinery, and it just became unmanageable. Like the technology didn't exist to
Absolutely.
manage this number of points, and now here we are with a point cloud that shows, 400 feet of rail car and details of flanges.
Absolutely.
The point cloud technology has just come so far in like the 20 years that I've been hanging around this industry. It's pretty
Oh,
neat
for sure.
to see.
No, yeah, and it's been amazing to be involved in the
So
process
our
from the
scope on
start
this
here.
job, Shane, we're doing some piping replacement. What else are we doing here?
Yeah, so essentially the existing line that goes from the rail cars to the tank is carbon steel, and we've been tasked to demolition that line and replace it in 316 stainless. So there's about 15 to 1600 feet of pipe, all said and done. There's several spools inside of the pump house that you can see that in the top right view there with some of those colored bottles. There's some connections in between some equipment in that building, and that's what basically pulls the product from the rail cars and sends it out to the tank. So again, basically this is kind of a shop and a field project. We're going to be prefabbing as much as we can in the shop so that we can have better control over environmental and fabrication considerations, hydro testing, pickling, the whole 9 yards in the shop. And then we'll be installing all of this in the field. Our crew of mobile guys, we've got 4 guys that will be involved in this project on site to do demolition and installation. And there will be additional structural components that we'll have to address while we're out there as well. There's going to be some hangers and some supports that we'll have to kind of figure out on the fly, so to speak. The really
Watch this space. Maybe I'll be able to convince Shane to actually scan the spools in the shop to check that
Potentially.
the spools we built are the right dimension.
Yeah, we could potentially look at doing that. Yeah, we're hoping. I mean, being that it's field work, we always leave ourselves with some room to make field trim, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just because nothing's ever perfect. Even if you scan it and put all the time in the world, you're still going to have things you can't account for. But we're definitely going to we're going to have a far easier time of making sure that everything fits doing it this way than we would have if we had just run out there with tape measures and tried to build this from that. So, yeah,
That's
so
a pretty
that's
awesome
kind of
project, Shane.
yeah. Thank you. That's one of our main new updates, so to speak. Graham, like we said in the start here, we know you're over in Regina today at the Williston Basin Petroleum Conference. Can you just give us a heads up? What's the show about? What are we doing there? How's it going?
Yeah. So here I am, third show that I've been at in 4 weeks. The big rush of post-COVID conferences is happening. It's going to be a.
I was gonna say you're making up for lost time from the sounds of things.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. I am already sick of traveling. Like last week vacation was nice, but this conference thing is this gets old really quick. Yeah, so Williston Basin Petroleum Conference, it's been happening for a bunch of years. It's a partnership between North Dakota and Saskatchewan, and the conference rotates year after year. 1 year it's in Williston, North Dakota, the next year it's in Regina, and it's really focused on the technologies and the contractors and all of the players in the oil and gas sector here in Williston Basin. One of the company, the organization that really runs this conference is the Petroleum Technology Research Center. In the interview that we got coming up, which I pre-recorded earlier this morning, and I'm going to apologize in advance for some of the sound bobbles. I'm still learning how audio works. But Rand's going to explain what the Petroleum Technology Research Center is all about, some of the really amazing things that they've done with carbon capture and storage. But just in general in the show, like it's number one, it's nice to see humans, but there's been some really good support from government and from industry here. They sold the conference space here and then sold it again. So we've got a big conference space out in the lobby there. There's presentations, like lots of really amazing geophysical geology presentations, and then a couple talks by some members of government. So I'll turn it over to you, Shane, to play the interview, and I hope you guys enjoy. It's about 15 minutes long, so we'll be back after that.
All right. Thanks, Graham.
Well, hey everybody. I'm Graham Corsar with J&E Welding, sitting here with Rand Narasimhan.
Just call Ran.
Rad. Well, you'll have to pronounce it for me.
Ran Narayanasamy.
I'm here with Ran Narayanasamy, and we're at the Williston Basin Petroleum Conference. Ran's recently taken on a new role as the president of the Petroleum Technology Research Center. So, Ran, first of all, tell us a little bit about that role. What is the Petroleum Technology Research Center? What are you focused on? What's the goal here?
No, I think first of all, thanks to JNE Welding and you, Graham, for being here in a Williston Basin Conference. And I'm Ran. I'm the new president CEO for Petroleum Technology Research Center. And PTRC has been in business for past 24 years. It was started by NRCan, federal government, University of Regina, and Saskatchewan Research Council, and also government of Saskatchewan to support the oil and gas industry.
Okay.
To enhance the production in 1998. Then we moved a little bit right, and we also looking at how can we produce oil and gas in a sustainable way.
Right.
Then we started doing research on carbon capture, utilization, and storage.
Yeah.
So you know that Rayburn, Midel, enhanced oil recovery projects with right now Whitecap owns all the assets.
Yeah.
So we have played a very important part in developing the resources in the Bacon oil field, and also the Saspar Boundary Dam project. So we capture the carbon, and the carbon is stored under the ground, 3.2 kilometers in deep saline formation, and we measure, monitor, and verify it. So we make sure that CO2 is storing is safe.
Okay, so that's the connection for you. After all your time at SaskPower,
Yes.
all the work on the carbon capture storage, you kind of meet these people, you get involved in this. This is a really amazing opportunity for you to make a difference in the community down here. So now today you guys are keeping track of how much carbon goes in the ground. Is this actually delivering on the results that it was supposed to deliver, that sort of thing?
That's a really important question you asked, because the most important thing is the regulations. You want to make sure that CO2 is stored safe,
And make sure it stays there.
stays there, right?
Yeah.
And we are an independent third-party verification organization too, that we measure, monitor, and verification. And it's very important. Even if you look at a lot of storage hubs projects happening in Alberta and Saskatchewan, even in states, they call PTRC for advice and risk assessment on how to do the storage.
Neat.
Because most important thing is the measurement, monitoring, and verification is very important. It gives confidence to the public.
Right.
So the PTRC has the expertise to do that.
Well, and this is part of our international promises on greenhouse gas reduction. The province, the country, they've made commitments that we're going to make these reductions. There has to be some trust that we're actually doing what we said we would do.
For example, you say you're giving a license to a person to drive a car,
Right.
but the regulator has to give it. SGI or whoever in the organization.
Yeah.
You can just go buy a car without a license. You cannot just drive.
Well, you
Similar
could,
concept.
but it wouldn't work out well.
Exactly. Same thing, right? So what we are trying to do here is we want to make sure that we comply with the regulations, and also whatever the CO2 we are putting under the ground stays safe, right? So we have 30 technologies used in the AccuStore site in Estevan to make sure we test it out and everything goes as well. Because imagine we have captured only 500,000 tons of CO2. In the future, they're talking about capturing millions and millions of tons.
Right.
You
So we've
need
got to
a
get it.
really
We've got to
good
get it
MRV
right.
Program. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like millions of people drive car, but everybody drive car safe because you have a regulator and licensing process, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. We want to make sure we can give public a confidence that CO2 is safe, which is stored under the ground.
This is kind of like, this is a neat story for me. This is kind of like the story of the Evraz plant and the new technology that back then IPSCO made. IPSCO invented that smaller electric arc furnace technology, exported it all around the world. Here we are in Saskatchewan figuring out this carbon capture and storage thing, and now exporting and using that capacity all around the world. And PTRC is at the center of that. That is really exciting.
No, actually, you said it right. Saskatchewan is the world leader in terms of CCUS. Even today morning, even Mayor Sandra Master said, Saskatchewan people are too humble,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, we're
Like
just
nothing
running
wrong
some
in being humble.
farms and
Exactly, right? We are hardworking people, but we are the world leader. We have done some amazing work Now everybody in the world is looking at Saskatchewan and PTRC, and even the research done at University of Regina and SRC is world leading. People
Yeah.
are looking at for advice.
Totally.
We are working with some major companies across the world because they don't. Everybody wants to do it. They don't have a real-time experience. We have a real-time experience, hands-on experience.
We've done
That's where we have done it.
And I mean, people might criticize, well, did Boundary Dam, it costs a lot of money and all that kind of stuff. Somebody's got to do it first. And yeah, it's not going to work the way we expected it to, but this is how we learn.
I think one of the biggest thing we have for the world right now is the lessons learned
Yeah.
from all the experience and research and development we have done here. So we can develop the future projects even better, cost effective, more efficient.
And they're not
Because
just going to be
we-
future projects here. It's going to be,
Anywhere.
yeah.
And people are asking us how to develop a storage hub in Alberta, even in Houston, Texas.
Yep.
And they have a 45Q in states. They're giving you $35 a ton for a CO2 storage. That's gonna drive a lot of projects.
It's created a market.
I will say that the CO2 market is going to be a new economy. It's going to be $1 trillion economy minimum. Even ExxonMobil said it's going to be $4 trillion economy in CCUS. Even
Wow.
if you look at the toolboxes of greenhouse gas emission reductions, CCUS has to play a very important role, not only from power generation perspective, also in terms of steel, cement,
Yeah. Well,
refineries.
it's all pipe and vessels and structural steel and wires and humans and all those things.
job creation.
So coming out of this conference here, was there one or two things that really caught your eye? Something that's new, something like 2 weeks from now, when someone says, "What did you learn at PTRC?" What are you telling them? Obviously, we're not done. There might be something amazing this afternoon, but so far,
No, I think the main thing is by looking at the technical presentations and also from the business leaders speaking here, including the Premier and the Minister of Energy and Resources, is we have done it. We know how.
right?
That's the most important thing. And we are keep reiterating, even we have delegates from North America here, like from states and stuff, why they're coming to Saskatchewan. They're learning how that technologies evolved and also how we are using to produce oil in an environmentally friendly way. People might argue about it,
Yep.
but still, we are not digging too many new wells. They're using the existing wells, using enhanced oil recovery, using CO2 is better than I don't know what else people are producing across the world, especially in other countries. But I think Canada produces the most sustainable and green oil. I wouldn't. We can counter argue it's not a green oil. I'm saying sustainable oil in the world.
Yeah,
So there's no doubt about that, right? That's the right way to do it because oil and gas demand is not going down. It's
yeah.
not going to go
Well,
down by tomorrow, right?
and we still want plastics, and we still want jet fuel, and
Yes.
and
I want to
and
fly and see my mom in India.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
We are talking about bringing like 1 million immigrants to Canada. They all have to fly here,
yeah,
and then they have to fly back. So having a sustainable fuel is a good way. I think I'm not sure we have enough lithium or cobalt to produce billions of dollars of electric cars. I
Yeah.
love electric vehicles.
yeah.
From the energy industry, like from electricity.
I
But
mean, we'll
practically
find it,
speaking, yeah.
but we're still looking. Yeah,
And even lithium and stuff, still a long way to go. But the oil and gas will play a very important role in the economy in everywhere for at least next 30, 40 years.
yeah,
But even if you look at the electrification of the electric vehicles, you need power again. You need fossil fuels to produce more power. So it's a chicken or egg thing.
yeah,
Whenever we need more energy, you need to burn some kind of energy to produce energy. So
Yeah.
let's find a way. That's why the carbon capture storage will play a very important role because we have the experience, we have the best porous space, like the deep saline formation in Saskatchewan. We can store millions and millions of CO2 safely.
and those are the salt formations,
Yeah,
right?
deep salt.
And those are below the potash.
Yes.
They're not quite as
3.2
far down.
kilometers, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Really down.
Yeah.
And PTRC is also doing a new research in shallow storage in Lloydminster area.
Okay.
We just started the research. So that's what the organizations like PTRC is very important is because you have to start somewhere. Someone has to go and do all the research and development.
Yeah.
Then only you can commercialize it.
So-
So that's what people like us play a very important role in the PTRC, University of Regina, are very important in terms of the research.
It's doing the homework that leads development on the front end. So you must be looking for people. So everybody's looking for people today. What kind of people does PTRC want to hire? Are you hiring engineers? Are you hiring geologists? Are you hiring statisticians? What does the makeup of the humans look like?
I think PTRC is a very strong technical organization. We have fantastic geologists, engineers, and petroleum engineers,
okay,
right? And also most of our researchers we hire through the University of Regina.
So it's that skill for research and studies and the peer-reviewed kind of thing that takes time and experience to put together.
And right now, the demand is really high. But again, in terms of CCUS, it's a very unique field, right? You need to really have an interest to do it. Right now, there's a lot of interest because people know they want to find opportunities in this area. Every company, including every energy company, they have a separate department for ESG.
Well, even at the hydrogen convention a few weeks ago, so they're talking about hydrogen development and blue hydrogen and red hydrogen and purple hydrogen. Carbon capture goes right with the majority of the hydrogen development program. So if we want a hydrogen powered bus, probably there's going to be some kind of a carbon capture and storage solution connected to that plant.
Because if you let's say blue hydrogen, we use the natural gas to produce it. Obviously, CO2 is going to come out.
Right.
So it goes hand in hand. It complements each other.
So then the Hydrogen Hub announcement from, was it last week? That's really important for you guys too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we were in the announcement when Minister Brown and I made, and she mentioned how important CCUS for hydrogen development. Yeah. It's kind of like goes hand in hand, right? Even cement industry, steel industry, everybody's looking at the storage, CO2 storage, very serious. If you really want to be net zero, we're talking about net, not pure zero.
Right.
Net zero. That means you have to take somewhere, and somewhere you have to compensate to make it net.
Right.
So only way is CCUS will play a very important role.
So looking forward to this convention next year. Obviously, next year it's going to be back in Williston.
Yeah, North Dakota.
Williston, North Dakota. Do you see this CCS, this carbon capture theme continuing? Do you see the focus of next year's convention being different? When people are thinking about, is it worth going down to Williston for that show? What should we be planning on?
I think this show clearly shows, even here, we had more than 400 people in the last 2 days, and even including exhibits are sold out. Thanks to you.
And extra exhibits in the next room, right? Yeah.
Yes. So it clearly shows there's so much interest in this area, because it's not about the interest. This is the economic creation, job creation. So even next year, you're going to see even more advanced technologies. Even when we are doing the research on shallow storage,
there should be some results coming from that. Yeah.
Right. So we need to keep moving the dial towards net target. I don't have a crystal ball, but the work has to happen. It won't stop. Even your work is not going to stop.
Yeah, we're going to keep on building stuff.
You're building stuff for energy companies.
Yeah.
J&E is.
Yeah.
From SAS Power, K Plus S, Potash, they all are energy intense companies, right?
We're building vessels that I don't even understand what they do. Yes. We built this thing called a resin separator or something like that for the CCS plant. It looked really cool, but I mean that just shows the where industry is going, is we're starting to do things that we've never even thought we'd do 5 years ago.
Now, I think I want to say the industry is in a really good point moving forward. And also the momentum we are building is very important, because people understand ESG is very important. Reducing their carbon footprint, even companies like everybody is really cares about the environment, right? So that's where you are seeing so much interest here, is people want to learn how they can get better, how they can be more efficient and reduce the carbon reductions in the right way and sustainable way. And it has to be a commodity. Because right now the cost is a big problem, right? If you do
we have to get the cost down,
exactly,
so that it can be just like today. An oil well is a commodity. Drilling is a commodity. The pump is a commodity. We need the technology to put the stuff in the ground to become a commodity too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do. I think this conference, you want to see more and getting more even bigger in the future.
We're in a bigger place.
I think we need, actually. That's what we were already discussing. You know what I'm saying? And also, unfortunately, what's happening in Europe, it's not good, but it drives the oil price really high too. So
It's fundamentally changed the economics of the industry probably for a while.
that's what I want to say. I think we are in a good momentum, and I want to appreciate everyone who's here who really care about what's happening in the industry to produce sustainable energy
Yeah.
and sustainable and clean energy, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing I want to say in the end.
Well, that is awesome. Well, I sure appreciate your time doing this. You are a crazy busy man right now. I should say that it was Ran like 10, 12 years ago who taught me the first things about community and Indigenous engagement. And then now here I am working for an Indigenous owned company. I'm sitting on the board of a group that's developing Indigenous capacity. And a lot of that has to do with that first conversation we had over at Hotel Sask. I really appreciate it.
I think it's a pleasure working with you, Graham. And
Thank you.
Again, respect is mutual.
Thank you.
You.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Have a super show.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. That was quite a great interview, Graham. There was lots of really interesting information that came out of that. Do you want to just kind of recap some of the main points for us there?
Yeah. I think the most exciting thing was how technology that got figured out at Boundary Dam is now being exported all around the world, right? Ranjith and his team are involved in carbon capture projects in the US and Alberta. They're getting phone calls from Europe. And that's technology that, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, right here in Regina and Saskatoon, Calgary, Western Canada, figuring out how to do that carbon capture thing off the back end of a coal plant.
That's really cool.
And then I think the other thing that's really neat about this show is just seeing the difference in engagement. We haven't done this for 2 years. We're meeting people who are all in their new jobs. But we're doing the show a little bit differently, right? Like here I am digitally connected from the show. I've still been doing meetings with the home office from the show. I don't think we would have done that 2 years ago. So
Absolutely.
Even though it's really amazing to be together in person and seeing people, we've learned a lot through COVID and we're applying those learnings. And I think it's changed the way we do business.
Oh, for sure. A fundamental change in terms of how we do business in every aspect, I would say.
Yeah, totally.
Excellent. And, it's really neat, just for my own kind of, knowledge base and understanding. But, carbon capture is one of those things for a while now. It's just been one of those buzzwords that kind of pops up from time to time on social media websites and in the news and stuff, to start seeing in our own backyard even the applications and some of the actual technology that's going into it and being pushed to the forefront. It's really quite impressive and quite interesting to watch the evolution and to see where it's going and how the applications are going to affect the generations now and in the future as we go forward.
And in some ways, it's a little bit of a best kept secret.
Yeah.
At a show in Edmonton a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting down with a company that used to have a presence here in Saskatchewan, and they sell equipment to power generators. They sell equipment to coal-fired plants, to gas-fired plants. Been around for years and years and years. And one of the senior sales executives didn't realize that there's a fully functioning carbon capture and storage plant running in southern Saskatchewan, like the first one in North America, and it's right there. He had no idea.
That's amazing.
So it's neat to see the level of interest now, and people are talking about it, and I think it's going to create a ton of work for
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a ton of work, why don't we go over to Shallon now? We have a very impressive employee update. I'm going to say probably precedent setting, at least in my time at J&E. I don't think I've ever seen this many new people coming in the door at one time. Shallon, would you mind taking us through the list of our new hires and just letting everybody know, we're still looking for more people, is my understanding. But we definitely have added quite a few additions to the team. Please take us through it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Shane. And as Graham and Ran had mentioned there, everyone's looking for people right now, and we have been fortunate to find some good people, and a lot of them quickly, which shout out to our HR manager, Nicole, as well. She's done a fantastic job of just getting her fingers out there and getting J&E name out there and bringing in some good people. So I was actually curious. I was thinking, like, man, there's been a lot that came in already this year. And so I went back just in our records for just the beginning of 2022 alone. And since the beginning of the year, we have onboarded 20 new people. And so I just wanted to do a quick run through of, I'll just do some names and then kind of what roles we've been filling, and then, what roles we're still looking to fill. And so I know I've mentioned a few of these people in our previous episodes, but we had Devin join as a welder, and we have Hunter as a laborer. I think they came in February or March. And then we've got Patrick and Greg that joined our drafting and detailing team, and they're both working from home. And it sounds like that's going great so far. And then we've got Arnold, he's a laborer as well. And then we have a couple of super critical roles that we are so grateful that we've been able to fill. Jay is our new production manager, and so we're just so happy to have Jay on board. He's been doing a fantastic job so far, is my understanding. So big welcome to Jay. And then Ruzbe as well. Ruzbe is our new welding and quality assurance manager, and again, just a huge critical position that we are so grateful to have Ruzbe in, and all of his experience and years of knowledge to fill that gap there for us. So fantastic to see those positions filled. And then moving on, we have Robert as a laborer position, and then his name is Yu Gu, and he's our new CNC programmer. But Yu has been around J&E, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. He worked with one of our suppliers, but essentially they joked around and were like, okay, you pretty much work for J&E, like, when are you just going to come work in an office here? And he finally agreed to it. No, I'm just kidding. He is a full-time J&E employee now, and we were just so happy to have him fill that role for us too. He has, like I said, years and years and years of experience, and is bringing fresh new ideas already, is what I hear from as feedback so far. So grateful to have you on board. And then Josh, we've got Josh has returned. Josh was actually a part of our shipping and receiving team previously, and he went and pursued a university. And so now he's actually come back and is kind of running side by side in the education program, as well as with us here back on our shipping team. So I know that we needed some extra hands there, so we're super grateful to have Josh back on the team again. And then I know we've got one proud papa on this call with us, actually, as Mitchell Corsar has joined the J&E team in a laborer role.
Hey, I think I know that kid. He was really horrified when I went over to the shop on Monday and took a picture of him.
That's why I saw you skulking around there.
Yeah.
I was going to include it in here to show everyone, but I thought I better not. I think you.
Oh yeah, I sent you the picture with Daniel on his his coveralls. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So welcome to Mitchell. It's always an exciting day when second generation joins the J&E team for sure. And then we've got Vanny. Vanny's a laborer. I actually had the chance to meet him yesterday, which was great. And then yesterday, this past 2 days, we onboarded 8 brand new out of pre-employment welders and fabricators, and you can see them here. This photo was from Monday. We were just taking them out for the shop tour and getting them acquainted with kind of the shops and the supervisors and lead hands that they'll be working with. And what a fantastic group to be able to bring on at once too. And it was great for them too, because they were all pretty much in common classes and went through the pre-employment program together. So they knew each other coming in, which is fantastic. And so I rattled off these names like 15 times yesterday as I toured them around and introduced them to people. But so here we go. We've got Dreek, Thomas, JC, Justin, Crawford, Nick, Aaron, and Alex all pictured here, as well as Nicole, our HR manager, there on the right. So welcome to all of our newest employees. I know we've got probably 2 or 3 more trickling in over the coming weeks too. And so we're really excited about what this year has looked like so far, and then also more positions to fill. Again, like if J&E sounds like a place that you would fit in or you'd want to be, we'd be happy to chat with you, of course. So you can visit our website, www.jnewelding.com, and on our contact us page, you'll see all of the positions, career opportunities that we have right now. And then in terms of career opportunities, Shane is also taking a road trip this afternoon, joined by Nicole. They're heading up to Pachinak for a career fair that's put on by English River First Nation, which is actually one of J&E's community partners. And it's going to be at St. Louis School, and it's going to be for grade 9s to 12. So kind of getting in there early, getting kind of planting that seed for welders, fabricators, trades, that type of thing. And so we're just grateful that Shane and Nicole are taking the time to head up there, and yeah, we're excited to see what comes of that, of course, for
So
sure.
Shane, we'll be expecting pictures and video from your trip, and
Absolutely.
and I think when we do episode 3 in a couple weeks, you'll have to tell us about this.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm really jealous that you're going up north.
Me too.
Yeah.
Quite jealous, actually.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As a BC native and someone who, in the 10 years I've been in Saskatchewan, the furthest north I've gone is Waskesiu. This is going to be quite a trip. My understanding is it's going to remind me a lot of home, as far as, you know, rocky terrain and lots of trees and stuff. But I'm really looking forward to getting into these communities and engaging with these youth and the people that live there, because let's call a spade a spade. We need help. The manufacturing sector, every sector right now across Canada, really, we need people. And you know, I'm of the generation where the people that got into trades and the like at my age, we kind of got bad timing. We came into it in a recession. It was really hard to have people stick with a trade when you couldn't find work to support it. So we need to let these young people know, get into a trade. You don't need to go to university to necessarily make a career, right? Trades are a viable option.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
And you know
All right.
what? If anybody is, you know, if you're just wondering what the shop is like, call us. You know, we
Exactly.
Jane, myself, Shalyn, 4 or 5 other people. We love giving individual tours of the shop. We'll take you around. We'll
Absolutely.
show you what it's like. You know what? It's not a big, scary, dirty place. It's a great place to work. So
Absolutely.
check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you once again for tuning in and taking some time out of your day to hang out with us. Once again, I am Shane Sutcliffe. We've had Graham Corsar and Shella Nowakowski, and this has been the J&E Welding Combined Strength live stream and podcast. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.
Have
great
an
day.
awesome week, everybody.